What about things like, oh, I don't know, electric vehicle battery production? The cost to replace a battery pack, the disposal of the battery when it comes to the end of its life, the electric vehicle insurance premium, the cost of an EV. What about the amount of minerals and rock that must be mined? How many miles must an EV be driven before it offsets the amount of carbon dioxide emitted by a gasoline-powered vehicle? Biden, of course, is all in.
Pointed out we're going to build 5,500 electric charging stations. Guess who builds them?
Guess who builds them? And remember, when the press secretary was asked whether President Biden owns an EV.
You guys are pushing electric vehicles today. This is a president who always talks about the power of our example. Mm-hmm. Does he own an electric vehicle?
Presidents of the United States don't do a lot of driving.
He's posted videos where he's revving the engine of his Corvette in Wilmington. He owns cars.
And he also has driven electric vehicles as president.
Does he own one?
I think the president's record on this is clear, Peter.
Does he own one? Well, I think his record on this issue is clear. My guest has explored the questions that have just been posed. Please welcome the editor of CNSnews.com blog, Craig Bannister. Craig, okay, on the whole, are EVs better for the planet than gasoline-powered vehicles?
Well, it takes quite a while before they might be. As you were mentioning, you have to draw. It takes a great amount of CO2 to produce an electric vehicle, so you have to drive one at least 60,000 miles before it begins to offset the carbon produced by a gasoline-powered vehicle.
What about the cost of an EV?
Well, as you know, that's quite high, and the problem here too is that the cost of the battery, if even the slightest amount of damage is done to the battery, more and more insurance companies are just writing the entire vehicle off because the batteries are so hard to diagnose or repair and can cost up to half the price of a $60,000 new electric vehicle.
Craig, let's talk about the battery. Let's talk about the rare earth minerals that go into it. Where do they come from? Who produces it? And what happens to the battery after the end of its shelf life?
Well, it can reportedly take up you might have to mine, I think it was 500,000 pounds of rock and minerals to get what you need to create one electric car, which is, of course, an ecological concern to begin with. And then if you are scrapping more and more of these electric vehicles earlier and earlier, as insurance companies are doing, you end up having these salvage yards filled with electric vehicle batteries, which again is an environmental negative. So the car has to be driven quite a long distance in order to offset the carbon. And if they're being scrapped, totaled earlier and earlier, well, then you lose any green gain, if you will.
You mentioned the CO2 that it takes to make the EV. Talk to us about that.
Well, again, your production of that can consume a great deal of or produce a great deal of CO2, and that alone means that the cars have to be driven an extended period of time before they offset what a car would a gas-powered car would produce. But the big problem right now is these batteries can cost up to $30,000 to replace, and it's extremely hard to diagnose and repair them. And as a matter of fact, with the Tesla Model Y, the battery pack is actually glued into the structure of the vehicle, making it nearly impossible to remove and repair and replace.
Let's talk about our dependence on China for some of the rare earth minerals that go into the EV. Either China produces them, or China controls the mines. For example, in places like Congo, that produces us. Doesn't that make us even more dependent on our number one adversary in the world?
Well, CNSNews.com today, an article, a blog by Craig Millward was explaining how Representative Jason Smith was making that very point, that America has become incredibly dependent on a hostile country in China, a communist regime, to provide us so many of the goods that the nation needs, and that imperils our national security.
Craig, I've driven coast to coast by myself, the northern route, the southern route, and a good old gasoline-powered car. Can you drive coast to coast in an EV?
Well, of course not. Unless you, I guess, do extremely careful planning to be able to make it from one charging station to the next. And I believe some reporters have tried that and found the electric vehicle wanting for extended trips. You have to be very wary of your mileage, what your range is for your electric vehicle. And as I said, you have to map out where the charging stations are, and if you can get there but before the car runs out of energy. Though the Biden administration, I believe, has been touting how you can actually power other things with your electric vehicle, which of course is extremely problematic.
What's that? The great Eldersky has in his hands a pair of tan My slippers. Indeed, I do. Look at these things. Are they not beautiful? Beautifully designed? But in the unlikely event that you prefer a different design, we have a different style. Different colors, two different styles. Just go to MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER, or call the number on your screen. And this is the brand new MyPillow 2.0. Even better than the original. You've never slept on anything more comfortable. Call the number on your screen. Remember, there are over 100 MyPillow products to choose from. Or you can go to MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. This is a 6-pack of towels that work. And the reason they're called towels that work is because they absorb water. Isn't that what you want your towels to do? They come in different colors. Again, MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Finally, this is the Giza Dream Bed Sheet. They come in different colors. Giza is an area in the world where the finest cotton is found. It's in Egypt. And mine, as you can see, is in white because I am the black face of white supremacy, but you're probably not. You may want a different color. They come in different sizes because beds come in different sizes. Again, call the number on your screen or go to MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. That's MyPillow.com, promo code ELDER. The average person who owns an EV here in California, and roughly, Craig, about 2.9% of the vehicles are EVs, are people who are middle class or better. And usually the EV is their secondary car or their tertiary car.
Well, that's an excellent point. There is that a lot of these, a lot of celebrities, a lot of people of extremely high means are the ones touting electric vehicles, and they can afford to do so. Because we're talking about a $60,000 plus vehicle, and how many people of average means can afford that?
The Epoch Times is doing a documentary on EVs called Electric Vehicles, The Good, the bad, and the ugly. We've gone into the streets and asked men and women kind of what they thought. And I want to give you a couple of reactions, a couple of things people said and get your reaction to them. One of them was a woman said she thought EVs were better for the planet than gasoline-powered cars because, and I'm quoting her, electricity comes from the sun, end of quote.
Goodness. Well, it's hard to argue with that kind of logic. Even harder to understand it, I guess. Now, one positive to electric vehicles is I believe it makes people like that woman feel better. So I guess there's an emotional benefit from electric vehicles, but not so much in terms of practicality. So yes, you have, and as you know, CNSnews.com is a division of the Media Research Center,
Right.
And one of the things we have found is the people who are pro-electric vehicle tend to have information dominance right now. So people are only usually hearing one side of this sustainability argument of electric vehicles and the green movement in general.
Another thing I heard, Craig, was, well, when I'm driving my EVs and I drive by a gasoline station, I just smile and I just wave.
Well, that seems like a little bit of spite. Again, leading me back to the argument that a lot of the benefit that some of these EV owners are getting is purely emotional. If they're actually enjoying a certain amount of Schadenfreude because they own an electric vehicle and other people have to buy gasoline, which even Biden admitted recently in one of his speeches we're going to be needing for quite some time now.
A couple more things, Craig, before you go. The governor of California, as you well know, Gavin Newsom, has mandated by the year 2035 no more sale of new gas-powered vehicles in the state of California. Your reaction?
Good luck with that. He's looking at something over a decade away, and I don't see the average consumer buying that. A lot can change politically in that amount of time. Now, you do see California with more and more stringent standards, restrictions, and I believe you even have some problems back when we were having a greater supply chain issue of trucks delivering goods to California that that couldn't get into the state. So I'll believe it when I see it.
And by the way, I think the next day after he made that mandate, he urged EV owners not to charge up their cars during peak hours because it taxed our energy grid.
I remember that. So use the electrical, have an electric vehicle, but don't use it as often as you'd like.
Don't charge it. I assume you do not own or drive an EV.
No.
Have you ever driven one?
Never in my life. So I guess that's something I should do just so that I can say that I've done it.
Well, I only did because I did this. We're doing the documentary, and I'm sort of the host of it, and I had never driven one before. The acceleration was amazing. It goes from nothing to real fast in a nanosecond. What bothered me is I need glasses to read. So there's a panel here, Craig, and the panel's got all sorts of things on it, Looking at the road, I have clear vision. Looking at this thing, it was fuzzy as heck.
And I understand they're quiet as well. But again, that's not what that's not what I think most people are looking for. They want to be able to reliably get
Right.
from here to there without issue. The freedom of mobility, so to speak, which the entire Biden administration and the left seem to be against, where they want people to, they want people other than themselves to be at the mercy of mass transit and those schedules, rather than having that freedom to go where they want and when they want. But that attitude, I think, is pervasive. I mean, if you look back at Nancy Pelosi getting her hair done during the COVID lockdowns, again, the rules don't see the rules as applying to them.
Well, she probably used an EV to get to her hairdresser. Okay, okay, Bannister. Aside from the psychological comfort that you get from owning an EV, is there anything, in your view, positive about an EV?
Not that I've found so far. As you said, you don't have to shell out as much money for gas, but your insurance premiums on average are 27% higher. So that seems to be offsetting any financial benefit that you'd be getting from having an electric vehicle.
Craig Bannister, CNS News. Craig, thank you very much for coming on. God bless.
Thanks a lot.
Now, I know you love the show, so hit that like button. Also, hit that subscribe button. We want to get our subscriptions up. And scroll down, you'll see where you can get on our mailing list. Why? Because believe it or not, from time to time, YouTube has issues with our feed. I don't know why, but to make sure you don't miss any of them, you got to be on our mailing list. Also, you see that donate button? Click that, throw a little something in the tip jar. Make sure we can continue to giving you candid, hard-hitting programming. Larry with epoch.com, Larry with epoch.com. I'm Larry Elder. This has been the Larry Elder Show for Epoch Times. Remember, we've got a country to save. I'll see you next time.